Hello, everyone. I am not.
Hey, good morning.
Good evening. Good morning. Corinne, are you the host or am I? It's asking me to. No, I'll stay the co-host.
I'll make you the host, Joe.
No. I don't like being the host. I get all confused.
Okay.
I'm confused enough with the tax laws. I don't need the Zoom interference. Hi, Victoria.
Hello, Joe. Good evening. Good morning, everyone.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Okay, so what is it still early? It's okay. So how many people do we have registered, Corinne?
Last night we had over 90 plus people.
Okay, so we should be getting a lot more people, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's
Probably
give.
they're trying to get in the room.
So Maylin is the only one brave enough to have her video on. Hi, Maylin.
Hello,
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
How did you find us?
Uh, Through Facebook,
Okay. Which group? Because we're in a couple of them.
it's called Bookkeeper Online, Philippine group.
Okay, great. Make a note of that, Victoria. Victoria's
Yes,
all
Joe.
our social media whiz lady. Hi, Elizabeth. I want to make sure I got the right course overview now. Okay.
Yeah, salutations and good vibrations, everybody. Happy Thursday evening, Friday morning, wherever you are in the world. Hopefully you are in the future. It's still a Thursday evening for us. I hope that it's Friday morning for you and that you know it's going to happen today, right? You are already prepared. You already see the opportunity available to you, and you are excited about accounting and bookkeeping and tax preparation. Not even just excited. I mean, like when you start working in that field, you got to love what you do, right? Because it is the foundation of everything. It is what makes it so businesses can grow. It's what makes it so business owners know how to spend their time, because you can see, you actually tell them where do they get the most return out of their time investment. It's an amazing thing to understand what that is. And even within what you do, you have the power to become a business owner's or even just a person's best friend, because you take care of numbers and you take care of things that they don't necessarily want to deal with. You become the expert in something that helps them tremendously. And that's the important way to think about bookkeeping, accounting, and tax preparation, is that you are actually providing a service that other people are incredibly grateful for. They are incredibly glad to get that burden off their shoulders. And when they get that burden off their shoulders and pass it to you, you look at it like it's a gold nugget and you're going to put it in your pocket. You're going to hold on to it. You're going to cherish it. You're going to make sure that it's a little baby, right? You're going to look at those books and records and you're going to make it so they sing for the client. And that is why you got to love what you do. I know that I love what I do. In fact, I am the chief fun officer of Bedrock Business Builders, because we actually believe that there is fun in bookkeeping, accounting, and tax preparation, that there's a story behind every record, right? Now, we're not going to make judgment on those stories. We're going to piece them together so those costs, those credits or those debits become beneficial to your client. Okay, that it's something that they understand, that it's a good thing. It's a good thing when you make a business expense. It's a good thing when you get a credit in and you have to go through your accounts receivable. It's a good thing when you dust off that little black book that some people will avoid that has their numbers. Their numbers are really, really important.
Yeah, and
And
just
that's
don't start talking to your clients in debits and credits because you'll lose them.
I
They'll say,
know.
this is what I got you for. It's sort of like when my mechanic tries to explain the combustion engine to me. I'm like, just turn it on and let me drive. It's
That
it's
is
the same
that is
thing.
true. They don't necessarily care how you do what you do, right? Now you can explain it to them a little bit when you're having a one-to-one meeting on them and you're selling your services. You can prepare for those meetings and make it so you have the power of persuasion with your preparation as you go into your meetings, because you're going to roll your shoulders back. You're going to take a deep breath
You want to
in.
be prepared to tell them why they don't have any money in their account. And basically it comes down to because they're not listening to you. Right? Without telling them, I told you so.
Yeah,
There's a whole
that can
science
be.
behind that, Elizabeth. That's what we're gonna go through. And actually, we're gonna cover a lot of that in the course. It's one of my favorite subjects. You would think that it's accounting and taxes, but it's not. It's really, how do we deal with the entrepreneur? How do we help them despite themselves? And we'll explain a lot about that. Everybody thinks or believes, I did, that it was all about the numbers. But it's really about business, and there's a human side to that, I like to call it. And we teach you how to mesh your knowledge with the numbers and how to deal with what's a good word for American entrepreneurs, Elizabeth?
Anxiety.
Crazy Americans trying to run the type A Americans running small businesses with good intentions, but like Elizabeth said, they really have no idea what they're doing. If they did, they wouldn't need us. And that's a lot of what we're going to be covering in the 13-week course, and also a 4-week course that's sort of like an add-on, but they're two separate courses. So sorry to interrupt your intro, Elizabeth. I had
It's
to.
okay, Joe. I was just going with it because I get so excited about it, right? I like the numbers. I didn't at first. I really thought that they were a bad thing. I was afraid of them. In fact, I noticed that I kept spending more and more and more money. Now, the money was always there. I had it, right? But then I just let it go very easily. And I didn't understand, well, what is my return? What is my highest return from where I'm spending my time, right? I didn't really understand that until I broke down the numbers, and then they became this glorious thing. And also the realization that a lot of times, if I don't know what somebody's numbers are in their business, I have no idea if they're going to pay me. Right. But this is where bookkeepers, accountants, tax preparers, you know those things because you get to see those things, and then you can like alter some stuff. But that is the ability of seeing what's behind the curtain. And you can only see what's behind the curtain if you build a know, like, and trust factor with your potential client. How do you build a know, like, and trust factor? Well, a lot of times they say that you got to see somebody or touch them in some way, shape, or form 10 different times before they actually buy something from you. How do you do that? How do you touch somebody 10 different times in accounting and bookkeeping? Like, shouldn't I be able to put a sign out there that says I do accounting and tax preparation, and aren't they just going to like click on it and buy my services? Well, perhaps, but more likely than not, they're going to make sure that you know what you're talking about. How do you know what you're talking about? You know what you're talking about by joining courses like this, by getting involved in a study group, by practicing what you are working on, and by gaining the insider's knowledge and having a group or its support. Bedrock Business Builders is a firm foundation of support. Not only do we support our clients where we do that type of service, but we also support our students when they have questions, comments, concerns, when they have clients that they've got wonky problems with. Well, you can ask us about those clients later on. If you want to offer
Should we give them
services.
the 5 secret words, Elizabeth, now, or you want to wait till later?
Oh, Joe, I'll get back to you.
Okay.
All
That's
right,
fair.
I'll get back to you on that. But this is where you gain the ability to not only provide basic bookkeeping and accounting services, but you also have an arsenal of other services that you can affiliate within Bedrock Business Builders to continue offering additional services too. So it's not just a course. All right. I think sometimes when I took courses, in fact, I spent $350,000 on my education just taking courses. And I will tell you, I have no support in the background of that. I went to 3 different universities. I went to a law school, and behind that, do I have professors that I can ask questions? Sure, if they're still alive, right? But then
Well, you could ask them, they just won't give you an answer.
they won't necessarily give me
If
an
they
answer.
do, then we have other issues.
But this is where within Bedrock, we're here to offer that extended support and to answer those questions. And in fact, we're looking for you to ask questions all throughout these courses. So Joe, what are we going to do? Or what else are we going to talk about? Because I can rattle off all the benefits because I really enjoy
yeah.
speaking with everybody and answering questions. And I will tell you that Joe, he's got students meeting with him in groups lately because he enjoys talking to them so much and understanding how he can best help them in their own entrepreneurial journey, offering accounting, tax preparation services, and bookkeeping, right? How can we be of service to you? Because when you serve others, you ultimately serve yourself. But that's a secret, right? And it's not the secret that Joe said that I would share. In fact, I shared it already when I said I would get back to him. Life is an open book test. I did. Life is an open book test. And when you're meeting with a client and you don't necessarily know the answer, the first thing that you can say to them is, you know what? I don't know that, but I'll get back to you because I have a team of support who can help me answer that question. And then the key to that, what makes that ultimately the most impressive thing ever is you do get back to them, okay? You don't just say, I'll get back to them and never respond back to them. You respond back to them, okay? Because if you don't, then the sale is automatically lost. But if you do, if it's like that time that you went out with a guy, you thought he was super cute, right? And you left your sweater at his house. You only left the sweater so you could go back and get it, right? Sometimes
is that's a trick?
That is a trick. That's the trick, Joe. It's so we can go back and get the sweater, all right? And this is where you'll have the ability to go back and impress the potential employer yet again with your additional knowledge. And you gain that additional knowledge by being prepared and researching it after. You don't have to know everything in the moment. Just like, I don't know where this next slide is going to go. Joe, tell me, where is it going to go?
Before, because I've done this before, going through slides and they're not even being shown. Are you seeing the certification course for accountants and tax preparers?
I am seeing that slide.
If you see that slide, you're in the right place, I hope. If you're not an accountant or tax preparer, this will still be fun, so you could stay. We're going to talk about the revolutionary Bedrock Business Builder system and how how it can help you claim your independence, not later, but now. And some of the things we're going to talk about, this is a 13-week course, so there is a lot to talk about. In fact, there's so much to talk about that we'll never have enough time to talk about everything. I'll warn you now, I will overwhelm you with a lot of information, but that's part of the course, part of learning how to work in this field as an accountant, as a tax preparer. There's a lot of overwhelm involved, I'll tell you right now. I might be scaring you away right now, but if I am, that's okay, because some people get into this business and don't know what they're getting into. Just like when they get into a small business, and that's what we deal with. We deal with people that think it's going to be easy, and they get into and they have to learn all the stuff that we're going to cover them on.
It's never easy, Joe, but it can be simple.
We make it simple, right? So we're going to go through some of the bookkeeping and accounting fundamentals. We're not going to go deep dive in there because I'm assuming that everybody has some kind of bookkeeping and accounting background. We're going to go into the different business and individual tax requirements in the United States. They might be similar to where you are, but they're not exactly the same. Different cultures, different forms, different rules, different mindsets, also different types of legal business structures. That is very important because that's where your foundation actually starts. And believe it or not, it doesn't start at the federal level. So I'll give you a brief introduction here. The United States is federal. There's 50 states, and the federal government oversees all 50 states, but every state has their own rules and regulations. So we're not going to go through every state because it could take us years to go through every state. But I am going to point out the commonality between all the different states, what they have in common, and show you how to, when you get a client in any particular state, how to drill down and find out exactly what you have to know in that state or local jurisdiction. We're going to talk about the actual role of the Internal Revenue Service because it's not really what most people think it is. Okay, and they're only part of the cog. They're only part of the wheel. There's a lot of other moving parts. Also, part of this that I love is, how do we do this? What's the software? What's the procedures? What's the methods? How do we approach this? Okay. In the end, we all have to get the same thing, a balance sheet and a profit and loss statement. Well, there's a lot of different ways to do that. Okay. But Apple Computer fills out the same 1120 form as the guy down the street. Okay. It's the same form. Basically the same balance sheet. They just have a lot more numbers with a lot more zeros after them than most businesses. And, so I'm going to show you how we take somebody's mangled set of books that they're going to, because that's real life. You do not get a clean set of bank statements and categories. We deal with real life here. That's what I'm going to teach you. And throughout the whole program, we're going to be throwing in tidbits on how you're going to use this information. Like, I'll get back to you, which is a huge, it might not say it's 5 simple words, but it is powerful. It's better than saying, I don't know. And it's a lot better than telling them something that you don't know. Or like making something up. Okay.
You never want to make something up, okay? Instead,
No.
you want to have that confidence. You gain that confidence by understanding that you can get back to somebody. All right. Life
Yeah.
is truly an open book test, and you can look things up online, but then this is where within Bedrock Business Builders, you also have the ability to ask us direct questions. And we also have a bunch of templates and resources, like Joe went through how all the states have different things. Well, don't you know that one of the things that we like to do within our own operations and procedures is to make it so we have documents like for the state sales tax. We just made something like that. It goes through all the different 50 states. It links back to what the state sales tax is, where you get it from, and then even the nexus of state sales tax. But that is really in depth. Those are giving you minute details of what's available. That's one sheet of paper, or it's one document.
We've made all of this stuff that's really, it seems complicated. And I'm not going to say it isn't, it is, but I've been doing this for 40 years and I've got it to the point where I know I don't have to know everything. I don't have to know every state's laws, but it's at my fingertips, literally. And we spent, so you have 3 decades of my accumulating different tools and resources, and plus our team, because there were a lot of things I wanted to do and we couldn't do it until I had a team because it was just very time consuming. Establishing all 50 states tax departments, secretaries of states, all of this stuff becomes invaluable to you if you're going to be working in this market. And who this is for, like I said before, if you're here, I'm assuming that it's for you and that you are looking for an opportunity. Okay, and I'm going to explain exactly what the opportunity is. And I could tell you right now that we specifically have targeted bookkeepers and accountants in the Philippines. Now, if you're not in the Philippines, that doesn't mean this isn't for you. Okay, but we have found that the community in the Philippines are perfect for a lot of reasons to service the small business community in the United States. And we have right now what I like to call the perfect storm of opportunity. And in a nutshell, this is what it is. And this has been, it didn't happen overnight, but I can tell you that COVID put this on speed dial. They made it so that video remote working has become the norm. Okay, so we are on Zoom. I pay $12 a month for this subscription, and we've had up to 100 people in a meeting. You couldn't do that a long time ago. And even if you could do it, there was a trust factor. Now people willingly do business over the internet with people that they've never met physically. I've never even met Elizabeth face to face, not yet. Someday we will. There's a chance that she's an AI. I don't know if she's real. She could just be. I just like to bring that up. But anything's possible, and it doesn't matter. Even if she's a great AI, she's very intelligent. She's fun, like she said, she's the chief fun officer. But so the technology has really made this super easy. Okay, it's cut down the cost, the time. We leverage that. Unfortunately, over the decades since I became an accountant over 4 decades ago. Okay, and it's hard to believe because I still feel like I'm 20, maybe because I'm having so much fun. I don't know, but it's been decades. And over that time, when I became an accountant, it was actually cool to be an accountant. That was because it got you into the business world. Well, over time, it became not that cool. It's becoming cool again because of the short, these things go in cycles. But for a long time, the internet technology was the cool thing. So you got a lot of computer people and you don't have a good pool of accountants in the United States. Okay. Over the decades, there's over 30 million businesses in the United States. 28 million of them are classified as sole proprietors. And I'll explain what they are. That's the smallest of small businesses. Some of them don't even know that they have a business. Okay, that's how small they are. But if they're independent, if they don't have a job, if they don't have somebody giving them a paycheck and they're making money, they're a sole proprietor. And the problem with that is they come under jurisdiction of a lot of different government agencies, federal and state. So you got a lot of people running around not knowing what the heck they're doing. There's not enough accountants to service them. They don't know how to find them. When they do, the accountants are too expensive. A good CPA tax preparer will start at $200, $250 a month. Okay, and these small business owners, a lot of them are what they call now gig workers. They're part-time, they're not even full-time. So they're gonna just what they do, they wind up doing it themselves. And they're ill-equipped. It's like I keep saying, it's like me changing the oil in my car. I'm gonna mess it up. I'm gonna ruin a $30,000 car because I didn't want to spend $30 to have somebody change my oil. It's the same sort of thing. Our system is extremely complex. It's not getting any easier. Okay, even if you know all the laws, well, guess what? Next year, they're going to pass new laws. Every state and local jurisdiction passes new laws. They change the laws. They change the percentages. I mean, it's a real moving target. And our government, okay, I'm not going to say anything bad, Elizabeth, but let's just say the government needs to collect money. Okay, they don't really care who they collect it from as long as they're collecting it. And unfortunately, the way our system is set up, that people with a lot of money can afford the best lawyers, the best accountants, and all of these new rules, it doesn't affect them as much as the small guy. Okay, the
They
small
work
guy,
really hard to bypass it. They work really hard to make it so everything that they're spending money on is considered a business expense and it's not taxable income to them. They work really hard to make it so it doesn't go under their own name, it goes under their business name. They work really hard to make it so they don't hold on to their money. In fact, they put it a lot of times in stock, so then it's not considered income at all when it fluctuates,
well,
right?
you're talking about the people with money.
That's what people with money will do.
Yeah,
And this
so
is
we're-
where there's a benefit to the small business owner, to the sole proprietor, to understanding the insides of that system. And the only way to start understanding it is to work with a bookkeeper or an accountant, tax preparer, who actually knows what's going on in the background of that, who's able to say to them, hey, it would be more advantageous to you if you were to incorporate your business instead of operating as a sole proprietor. It would be more advantageous to you to make it so you're keeping track and you're categorizing and you're reconciling your business expenses, even if they're going to be from your personal bank account, because that, my friends, is usually what people are doing. They are spending lots of money from their personal bank accounts or their personal credit cards for businesses that they didn't even know that they had. But don't you know that our government, as Joe said, it does want money. So it is making it so if people make $600 or more in one of those third-party servers, well, they're going to get a 1099. Now that 1099 can go to them personally, or the smart solo entrepreneur or the entrepreneur who works with an accountant will say, hey, I'm instead going to incorporate a business. So Joe, who are we? What is up with Bedrock
So,
Business Builders?
yeah, so my head is spinning a little. You get really deep.
I know,
into it.
too much.
So you're actually getting way ahead of the game here. So let's keep this nice and slow. We got about an hour and 20 minutes to go through. We have a bunch of slides to go through. I'm going to go through them, some of them quickly. Yeah, we're Bedrock. I'm not Bedrock. I am Joe DeChara. I am an entrepreneur with a CPA license, and I'm going to tell you exactly why I'm qualified to teach you about this stuff. But we have a team. I have a team behind me. I did not do all these slides. They make me look too good. They're professionally done by a team member, Janine. She was our first Philippine hire. You might be familiar with Karine there. Karine is our executive assistant. We say virtual assistant, but I don't even think, I think everybody's virtual now. So we might want to drop that virtual, Karine. So she's an excellent executive assistant. We have Victoria, who probably reached out to you indirectly. So we are a team of accountants, marketing people, and we all have the same mission, which is to make money simple to people. And that's where you come in. We can only teach so many people. We can only touch, like Elizabeth was saying, so many people, and there's millions of them. And we all believe in Team Bedrock that service is the highest calling. Okay, we're in a service business, and we will teach you how to serve the American entrepreneur that needs a lot of help. I could tell you this as an entrepreneur and as a CPA trying to serve them. So I'm my own worst enemy. People at my team that has to work with me, I'm one of our worst clients because I'm still an entrepreneur. And I'm guilty of the same bad habits and I'm getting better, I think. I'm getting better. But, you know, and I'm going to teach you that this is a fact of life. I'm an A-type personality, and that's who you're going to be dealing with. Okay, American people are different than Philippine people. That's not good, it's not bad, it's just different. So I know from experience now that the Philippine culture you're normally laid back, or you might admit that you're shy. Okay, That's not going to work in this market. We're going to teach you that. We're going to teach you how to get out of your comfort zone and get on the video camera, whether you like it or not. Or I could tell you right now, you don't even bother wasting your time. If you don't, it's okay to be scared, okay? It's not okay to stay in your comfort zone. It is okay if you want to stay where you are. But we're going to actually teach you, and it's what I'm getting at here. It's not just the knowledge. Knowledge is important, but we want to give you the practical tools and really the self-esteem to know that you can do this. And we'll go through what we've just gone through, because tomorrow night we're going to have the 13th week of our 13-week course, and I will tell you where people started and where they are now. But who am I? Like I said, I am an entrepreneur with a CPA license. Okay. So I look at things a little bit differently than other accountants in the United States. I look at it actually from my client's point of view. Okay. That's what sets me apart. Also, I've been doing this for, like I said, 4 decades. In that time, I've worked with tens of thousands of individuals and businesses, everything from basic bookkeeping to serious criminal IRS, FBI investigations. Okay, not thank goodness, not too many of those, but basically, I put it all into a nutshell. I said, you know what? All of these people I've worked with, there was a common denominator with all of them: getting their books in order. No matter what the problem was, when you scaled it back, it always came down to they didn't have the right books and records. And we could not do a proper tax return without the right books and records. And a lot of my time was spent handling tax problems. So we would have to go back to 2, 3, 4, 5 years and reconstruct people's books. And it dawned on me, I said, well, if we start out with a good foundation, we don't have to go back and solve all these problems. We avoid all the problems, and that's what we're here for. The people that we work with have problems. And the problem starts because they don't know that they have a problem. They think that they can do this themselves. It's really not that complicated. It's not that complicated. So what I love to do is I love to help people, whether it's a student, a team member. I love to see people succeed. And it's sort of like a selfish helping, because I know how the universe works. And the more people I could help, the more people I could guide, the more money that comes to me. It's a simple equation. You know, like I said, we try to keep everything. I could overcomplicate anything, believe me. But when we come down to the basic facts on how things really work, this is what we're great at. You know, we could take a complicated, what looks complicated, a set of books, the IRS. Okay, I know how the IRS works. You want to know, they got over about 80,000 people. Okay, I don't look at it as 80,000 people. I look at it as 80,000 individuals. I'm not working against 80,000 people. I'm working with one person at the IRS that has a job to process the tax return, get the information, and actually help the client. The IRS is not there to put people out of business. Their mission is actually to help people file and pay the right amount of taxes. Okay. Unfortunately, they're going to hire another 80,000 people. And that's where your opportunity comes in, because like I said, it's not getting any easier. It's not getting, they're putting down the gauntlet. Okay. They want to collect money. There's a lot of people that have been slipping through the cracks, and they just want to tighten up the holes. And it's our job to plug the holes before the IRS comes knocking. Okay, now, most people in the United States, they know about this. They haven't felt it yet because it's going to take, 2 to 5 years before they've actually hired all these people. But we're looking at having a completely new system where people, if they're not hiring you now, they're going to be sorry later. So my job, our job at Bedrock, is to inform them. It's almost like we're doing a public service. Okay, we're ahead of the curve. Okay, we're informing the public. Listen, this is what's coming. There's a tsunami coming. You might want to button down the hatches. Okay, and it's not just the IRS. Okay, so the IRS covers the federal income tax system. Well, guess what? There's also the Social Security Administration. They cover the Social Security tax part of our system. And that's a significant portion of where those sole proprietors get hammered. Okay, a sole proprietor has to pay 15.3% of their net profit over to Social Security. Remember that, because I'm going to keep pounding that into you. 15.3%. That means if somebody makes $10,000 US, and in the US, that's not a lot of money. Okay. Some businesses actually net 20, 30,000 for the whole year. That's below the poverty level. Well, take that money and take 15.3% away. So they don't even have that much. They have 85% of what they think they made. That doesn't happen to corporations. S corporations, which I'm going to teach you about, get zero Social Security tax. Now, that doesn't mean that they're 100% exempt, but corporations have more of a, let's say, option. They have more options on how they take money out of the business. Okay. Homeland Security, they're involved. They have nothing to do with taxes. They have to do with protecting the United States against terrorists, drug dealers, money launderers. But when you hire somebody, they want to know who you're hiring. So you got to prove that the person you're hiring is who they say they are. Why is that significant? Because that makes our clients the unpaid police department for Homeland Security. If they hire somebody that's not legal, or they hire somebody and didn't fill out the right forms, they get penalized. Now, I've had clients where Homeland Security showed up unannounced, uninvited, asking for all the clients' payroll files. Now, in those cases, my clients had the right files. Not everybody knows what they're supposed to have because not everybody has an accountant. Okay, so you're going to be in the position to say, hey, do you have your I-9 filled out? If you're hiring somebody, these are the forms you need. American accountants are going to say, yeah, I know that. I'll get it later. No, that's that's like saying, yeah, I'll buy car insurance after I have an accident. I'll buy medical insurance after I get sick. Now, we also have, like I said, the state and local governments. This is where businesses really start. They don't start at the IRS. In fact, the IRS doesn't set up businesses. They want your money. They want to know when you start your business. But if you want to register a business, you don't register it with the IRS. You register it with the Secretary of State if you want to be formally registered as an entity, besides being a partnership or a sole proprietor. And I'll explain what the differences are. But once you start a business, and there's only two things you need to start a business. You need an idea and you need to take an action. And you got to have the profit motive. Any action you take to make a profit means that you technically have a business. Okay. Now, nobody cares. The IRS doesn't care until you start making money. But I care because once you have a business, that means you automatically have business deductions. And that's when you should register. And that's what we try to teach people. The mindset is I'll hire an accountant, I'll register my business when I start making money. Well, what they're doing is they're losing money, then they're losing vital tax write-offs. When Elizabeth was talking about, corporations get to write things off. Well, if you don't know you're allowed to, you're going to miss it. That's what happens to most of our clients. Luckily, we can go back sometimes and we can fix things. Okay, but everything starts at the state level. Okay, and in the program, we will do a deep dive into how that works. And like I said, there's also payroll and sales taxes, and not just income taxes. So I'm not exactly sure how the system works in the Philippines or other countries, but payroll and sales taxes really move our economy. It's what keeps the taxes flowing. Okay, so if you think about it, you hear about all this money the federal government spends. A lot of it is through the payroll system, because what happens is people are actually prepaying their taxes when they have a job. Okay, they're paying their taxes, the government is spending it, and it's just it's like a cycle. Okay. The government wants everybody to be on payroll. They don't like when people are independent contractors. And that's where the glitch comes in. It's been an issue since before I was an accountant, the difference between being an independent contractor and being an employee. Okay. And you'll hear, about 1099s and payroll. Well, payroll is a huge issue in the United States, because independent contractors, if I've lost you, are actually considered sole proprietors that get hit with that 15.3%. So if you're a business, you don't want to be a sole proprietor, and you don't want to be on payroll because you get no tax write-offs. So what you want is you want to be a corporation and pay the amount of taxes that you control. Otherwise, the government is in control. Okay, that's what we teach people. Sales tax is another huge issue in the United States. It has nothing to do with the federal government. It has to do with state governments. We are going to show you how to use this to leverage your skills, to pitch your clients. Because when you know what questions to ask in the interview, you're going to have a leg up, and we're going to arm you with the right information, like W8BEN. Nobody in the United States knows about this form. If somebody in the United States is hiring you, they're supposed to have you fill out this form. It's called a W8BEN. Okay, it's almost like a secret. We found out about it by accident. Okay, I wasn't looking for, what forms do I have to fill out for a foreigner? Okay, because we do our job. Somebody asked us a question, we found out, and it turned out that everybody on my team, I had to have them fill out a W8BEN, because if I don't, and the IRS asks me for one, I would have to pay the IRS 30% of whatever I paid Corrine, Victoria, Janine, just because that's a rule, and not everybody knows it. So when somebody's hiring you, you could just say, who do I file my W8BEN with? And they're going to say, what is that? And then you tell them what it is, and they're going to say you're hired. Nobody else is going to be telling them that. Okay. Legal structures and tax classifications. So now I'm going really quick here. Elizabeth, you can, not like I have to tell you to interrupt me, but you
Well,
can.
okay, so we're going really, really fast, but this is where what we're doing is doing an overview. So in the course itself, we spend a week on these topics, okay? It's a whole class on these different topics, and where we're giving more insider tips to it. As you see in the chat, I like to share the IRS forms and I like to share the IRS write-ups about it in there. We will show you how you can also look things up like that in live time, or make it so when you're researching, you're making it so it's the best source for you to research from. But yeah, things are, if you think about the US system, a lot of times they're triangular, okay? And there's a checks and balance between all of it. And the checks and balance within that system is the state government, the federal government, and then the departments of labor and the departments of tax and finance, all of those things wind up coming together. You will have a better understanding of all of those things. All right, Joe said it before, that we cannot go through all of this one by one in this short period of time. This is just an overview of what the 13-week is and what the 4-week is. But yeah, a sole proprietor is the owner of the business. They have an automatic classification. They have personal liability, okay, because there is no corporate separation between their assets. If something goes wrong in that business, they are completely liable for everything and anything with it. In a corporation, it's a little different. There's a corporate veil and someone has to pierce the corporate veil in order to get the deep pockets of either the individual who owns the corporation or just the corporation itself. And Joe is right. He already talked about the Social Security tax and how they pay the highest percentage. There's also a tax audit risk by being a sole proprietor. When you start working in accounting, bookkeeping, tax preparation, you're going to come up to people who are operating businesses. They will even know that they're operating a business, but this is the structure that they're going to have. They're going to be a sole proprietor, okay? And there's certain
This is
rules and
the
regulations to
They don't even
follow.
have a choice. They don't have a choice. And that's when I said that a lot of people, they're business owners by accident. They didn't wake up one day and say, oh, I want to own a business. No, they woke up and said, I need a job. I'm going to drive for Uber. Well, Uber, you're independent. You're not getting the paycheck. And they come under all the rules that any other business come under. And that's what I'm talking about. They get shocked. But Elizabeth, can you do me a favor and check on Corrine? She isn't looking too good.
I know, all of a sudden she's
Something
looking like
happened.
you, Joe. I don't know what happened to her, but that's okay. I'm sure she's fine and Dandy likes sugar candy,
I
okay?
just want to make sure our team members are okay. Okay, so that's the first legal entity. You don't have to register with the IRS. You should register any business with your local government. It's hard for them to enforce it, but it's becoming easier and easier for them to find out. A partnership is really a sole proprietor that has more than one person. It's an informal legal entity, although partnerships, the partners, Elizabeth will tell you, they should have legal agreements to spell out, what they do. It's a legal organization. But the
Partnerships
difference
are
go ahead.
Partnerships are they are saucy, okay? This is where people who enter into partnerships, a lot of times they don't necessarily form agreements. They just think that they're gonna work together forever and it's gonna be fine and dandy like sugar candy, right? But that's more often than not is not how it works out. They wind up having different opinions and ideas, and they want one thing out of the business or they want another thing out of the business. And because they don't necessarily have the right agreements from the onset of their business, a lot of times it blows up and it winds up in calamity, right? So when people are structuring themselves, if you want to say, a lot of attorneys, a lot of people out there who are in business will say, try not to formulate a partnership. Formulating a partnership makes it so if you guys don't agree and you don't want to keep the business, well, the business doesn't continue. Okay, that's a huge difference between a partnership and a corporation. When you have a corporation, even if it's
we're
sorry.
getting into
I know
strategies and stuff
that's
like
strategy, too much detail. These are things that we
So
talk about during the
Elizabeth's
course.
an attorney. She's always looking to protect people. That's the way she is. That's what we love about her. But the truth is, yeah, we don't condone partnerships. We think it's a bad business structure. But people do wind up in partnerships. They think And, everything's great until they start making money. So we have a whole different structure to recommend to them, and it has to do with an S Corp and a joint venture. It's an S Corp and an LLC. But we'll get into that into that's in tax strategies. That's in chapter 9 in our course. But the partnership, again, it's a separate legal entity. They do have a separate tax return. It's not commingled on their personal return like a sole proprietor is. You're automatically classified a partnership. You don't have a choice. Okay, so if it's two people doing business together, you're supposed to be a partnership. That doesn't mean everybody follows the rules, because like I said, a lot of people don't know that there's rules, and you'll get in your travels, you'll get people coming, with all kinds of mishmash businesses. And, because our students are coming to me with it. They're like, oh, I have a partner. I have a client that has a partner in one state and another state, and it's all mishmash. We simplify everything. And like Elizabeth was saying, partners are also personally legally liable, which makes it even worse. Because let's say I go out and I have a great business idea. We form a partnership. They go out for a business loan. They don't tell me about it. We go out of business. Well, I'm personally liable for that business loan, because when you do business as a partnership, all the partners are liable. That's the problem with it. And again, the biggest tax problem with it is that partnerships in a regular business operating entity, I'm going to tell you the differences between active and passive activities. So like real estate is a whole different tax category. So some of you might have clients in the real estate business. They're not subject to self-employment tax. Okay, that's just the way the tax code was written. And again, usually it's people that have a lot of money that own real estate. So a lot of the tax code is geared towards people that have money, and the people that have money are usually set up as LLCs or corporations. Now, LLCs and LLPs are really a legal structure. It has nothing to do with people's taxes. It's a big misconception. The sole proprietors and business owners that know that being a sole proprietor is not good, they go out and become LLCs, not realizing that there's actually no tax status for these types of entities. They're what they call default entities. So if you're a single owner LLC, you're still paying 15.3% on your net profit. If you're more than one owner, you're considered a partnership with the same problem. The only difference is you don't have the same legal liability. So if you're an LLC or an LLP and your partner goes out and takes out a business loan and you didn't know about it, and then you go out of business, you're not personally liable. So there is a benefit to that. And there's other benefits to being formed as an LLC or an LLP, but not for those 28 million sole proprietors that I'm talking about. Now, and we do this all the time when clients come to us that already formed, we can do a simple election and change all that, fix it all for them. So again, if you're doing this, and you will come across clients that are LLCs, and you will have the magic secret. You will say, hey, did you ever consider being an S Corp? And they'll say, what is that? And you'll say, well, you can save a lot of money on your taxes. And that's what we're going to cover for you. Corporations are, this goes back to old English laws about how businesses were conducted, and business owners did not want that legal responsibility if something happened with the business. So they created what they call so Elizabeth, I don't know if you know it, but maybe we should do some kind of like paper on how corporations actually started. But they've been around a long time. There's actually corporations in the United States that were formed in the early 1800s. So corporations have been around a long time. Okay, and they are started at the state level. They are separate from their owners. The owners have limited legal liability, but there is a corporation level tax. So when you see all these public companies, they are regular corporations and they are paying taxes. Now, a lot of them circumvent the tax laws because they have very high priced attorneys and accountants, and there's all kinds of other rules that we never get into. But it's part of the tax code, which is part of what makes it so complicated. A lot of the rules and questions on the tax returns don't apply to our clients. So right away, we make it simple for you, because I could tell you on the Form 1120, you're going to totally just skip pages 2 and 3. They have questions on there I don't even understand. It's like, if you own a corporation that owns another corporation that's set up in a different country, I'm like, we don't get those. We have simple single shareholder entities. And then we have the entity of choice for these small businesses, which is the S Corp. You get the same limited liability as an LLC and as a corporation. It's what you call a pass-through entity. There is no corporate level tax. That makes it so there's not what they call double taxation. So the owners of an S Corp have multiple ways to take money out without actually having to pay taxes on it, or paying a minimal amount of taxes. Okay, and I got a lot of legal creative ways to do that. How to become an S Corp? Like I said, if you're an LLC, you fill out one simple form. It's got like 4 or 5 questions on it. They sign it. It's automatic, as long as you qualify. If you don't qualify, you don't fill out the form. It's simple. Then to be an S Corp, it's another very simple form. It costs nothing. It costs nothing to do this. 0. There's no fees at the federal or state level. In fact, with the state, you usually don't even have to tell them you want to be an S Corp. They just say, if the IRS says you're an S Corp, it's okay with us. New York State, you have to file a separate election. Don't ask me why. They just want it. Okay. So it's very simple to become an. Here's the 8832. See, there's only a couple of questions. It's not, I mean, we got this to where it's always the same answers. Always the same answers. The only thing that changed is the name, ID number, and this information up here, date incorporated, state. But I could teach you how to fill this out in about 3 minutes. And it literally could change people's lives, okay, just by having this information. These are the different tax forms. This is a 1040. 1040s are actually a lot more complicated than the business returns. Why? Because there's over 200 million tax returns filed by individuals. Okay. There's 30 million businesses, but not all of them are corporations. A lot of them file on 1040, Schedule C. So there's a lot less business return, and they're actually, the business returns are a lot less complicated for the kinds of businesses that we deal with. Now, if you're an individual, there's all kinds of different credits, deductions, how to handle. The good thing is that 95% of it is given to you. It's given to you on a form that matches up with the computer program. All you got to know is, how is this supposed to come out? You know, what I'm going to teach you is, don't be a slave to the software. I'm going to teach you how to do this by using the form. You're not going to do it on a computer. I'm going to give you a simple project for a client that is a lot of different things. She had a real estate sale. She has a real estate rental. She has a net operating loss. She has an S Corp. So there's a lot of things incorporated in it. But for the people that just went through the course, I could tell you that they're all able to do a tax return now. They all know where to start. They all know what's supposed to happen. And they all know that they should have somebody to review their work. Just like Elizabeth alluded to, you should have a study buddy. They took it to another level. They created study gangs. They they were supposed to have a buddy and they created gangs, 13, 8. I was amazed. That was brilliant. But anyway, here's the Schedule C. And all this is a profit and loss statement. You don't even do a balance sheet for a sole proprietor. And whatever this net profit is down here, you multiply that by 15.3%, and that's part of the individual's taxes. Okay. As far as, you'll ask me things that every business owner, what can I deduct? And the answer is simple: anything related to their business. Anything related to their business, and we'll cover that. This is a partnership return. Okay. Again, if you know what a P&L is, this is simple. It's not that complicated. I have taught a lot of people how to do these returns. And guess what? What we found out is you don't have to be a US citizen to be a registered tax preparer. In fact, you could be what they call an enrolled agent. Enrolled agents get $200-300 an hour. They can handle complicated tax situations, complicated audits. You could represent your clients before the IRS from the comfort of your living room in the Philippines. Okay, believe it or not. Yeah, it's a fact. It's a fact, and we're going to show you how to do it. This is an 1120, and this is the S Corp. Now, on the other pages, you'll see there is a balance sheet. A lot of times you don't even have to fill out the balance sheet, because if you're less than 250,000 in sales, which most of our clients are, you don't have to fill out a balance sheet. So what you wind up filling out are a lot of questions that, just like the other form, they're the same on every return. They're either yes or no. You got to fill out the owner's information, but this is not rocket science. We're going to go through basic bookkeeping and accounting. And like I said, I don't care if you're using a scratch it. You can do your profit and loss on a Post-it, and I could do your tax. I mean, I hope I've had people try that. Remember, Elizabeth? They were taking pictures on their phone and trying to send it to us.
Oh, yeah. You got to make sure that you have a specific way of getting documents from your clients. That's for sure. And this is where we want to keep that simple for you. And we show you different ways to do it within our own system and within other systems. This is where Joe is going to show you different accounting software. During the review sessions, he went and deep dived into Wave and QuickBooks Online and QuickBooks Desktop. The chapters, there's a portion of it that goes through that and how to make it so these tools and resources can really walk and talk for you and make your job more effective and efficient with what you're doing. There's certain rules that can be put into place. And Joe, I will tell you, all right, you told me, what's the history of corporations in the United States? Well, the history of corporations, they were founded by financial institutions. They were actually founded by banks, okay? And one of the first formal companies in the United States was the Boston Manufacturing Company in 1813, all right? They focused on imports and textiles, bringing them into the company, bringing them into the United States. And then other corporations that were developed, they were big corporations. They were corporations who were creating the railroad industry that went from one state to the other state, all right? And what the federal government found at that time was it was easier to make investments, in fact, large investments to corporations to do these types of big developmental projects within the United States. And that's how
that was more for business purposes, and there was actually no income tax at the time.
Oh yeah, there was no income tax. They didn't start taxing corporations until 1894. And a key aspect of what they did with that corporate tax was unconstitutional, all right? Because Congress enacted an excessive tax on corporations based on income.
All right, let's cover that in one
I know. That goes into deep, but this is where The
But
system
it's
has been
interesting.
designed to make it so corporations or S Corps, they do have a benefit for being what they
But
are. And it's
also,
from the
al-
onset.
also what we'll teach you is that it has, a lot of the tax code is tied to the American politics. Okay,
Yes.
they're intertwined. That's why, like with COVID, the federal government wanted to help all the people, so they did it through the tax code. So how did they give the money to all those people? They did it through their tax returns, which created a whole level of complication. And any kind of tax complication is an opportunity for us to serve. Okay. So basically, what we do for every different client, like I said, what I've been doing for 40 years, is we're actually making a custom accounting system for every client. No client is the same. You could have 10 real estate clients, and one of them likes to use Excel, one of them likes to use QuickBooks, one of them likes to, do it on Post-its. Okay, whatever the system is, you gotta, the best thing is to have your own system and have them try to, integrate your system with what they're doing. And that's where the onboarding starts. And we're going to talk to you about that. Corrine is the onboarding guru for us. Okay, we've created an onboarding system that really helped. I used to spend hours with the client, literally hours, trying to figure out what they had. Now I spend 5 or 10 minutes with them to see if we're a good fit. Payroll is a big part of the American tax system. Even if you're not doing payroll directly, knowing how the system works is going to give you a leg up. Okay, so think about that. Just knowing what questions you're supposed to ask, what documents you're supposed to have is important. Issues, I've touched on this. A big part of the payroll thing is when your clients hire somebody, they're going to say, should they be an employee or an independent contractor? Well, if they've been in business, they're going to say, oh, I want them all to be independent contractors. Why? Because they don't have to pay workers' comp, they don't have to pay Social Security tax, they don't have to pay unemployment. And even more importantly, they don't have to comply with any of the federal or state employment laws. That's another big factor. It's not all about taxes, it's about protecting the American worker, who for a long time got abused. Okay, so unknowingly, if somebody needs a job and the business owner says, oh yeah, I'll give you a job, but I'm going to treat you as an independent contractor. So these people would unknowingly, they're like, oh, so if I make $1,000 a week, I take home 1,000. Yeah, well, yes and no, because you're taking home 1,000, but you got to set aside part of that for your taxes. They didn't know this, so it's really a form of abuse. So a lot of these laws, Elizabeth's like bringing it out, and I agree with her. A lot of them are not just to collect taxes from businesses, but to protect people that don't know any better. That's why they're going after like Uber and Lyft. And they're saying, listen, first of all, I've done taxes for those people and they really don't make any money. They don't, after we take expenses for depreciation and all the stuff for their cars, I'm like, I had a client who was making $3,000 a month from Uber, and his depreciation and all his other expenses were $4,000 a month. And he knew because here's the thing, the depreciation is a future expense. He won't have to replace his car, but eventually he's going to have to replace it. So they're not making money. They're supposed to be considered employees. So that's the battle that's been going on with the IRS and businesses for decades. You want to say something, Elizabeth?
No, I'm just agreeing with you, Joe. It's
Oh,
music
okay.
to my ears because it is, people do get taken advantage of in the United States system when they're considered independent contractors, and then they don't structure themselves as a business. Okay, and this is where a lot of the time within the US tax code, or even with any of the laws, things are reactionary. Okay, like just like when we started taxing corporations formed practically 50 to 100 years prior to the point of taxing them, right? It wasn't until we realized, oh, they're making a lot of money. Oh, we're not getting any of that money. Oh, they're taking advantage of a lot of different people. How do we fix that? And then they enact tax laws, right?
That's where the politics start getting involved. And then they're like, oh, they're taking advantage of all these employees. So we're going to have a Department of Labor. And, you know, all of them are needed, but some of them, you know, sometimes, and like I said, it's not good or bad. It just is. The people that could least afford it wind up paying the most. Okay. And that's who we protect. I could be doing business with anybody in the United States. I don't even have to be doing taxes. I tried not doing taxes and accounting for a long time, but for some reason, God kept bringing me back here. It's like the Godfather, Elizabeth, you know, the Godfather is like, I keep trying to get out and it keeps bringing me
pulling
back.
you back in. Yeah, that's
Yes.
it. And
So-
sometimes we just have a purpose, and
Yes.
by advocating for these individuals, and what you do as a tax preparer, or as an accountant or a bookkeeper, is you demonstrate to the little guy or even a big corporation that you advocate for them, that you're fighting for them, that they are not alone, and that there is a light to a very dark tunnel, because they operate in a fear zone. All right. That's not
Yes.
necessarily a growth zone. They're operating in fear. And a lot of times you can be uncomfortable, but they're operating in fear. And your position in that situation is to say, hey, it's not that bad. All right. There's no such thing as debtor's jail. All right. You can owe the IRS a lot of money, but so long as you're not committing fraud in the act of owing
there's
them
no-
money.
There's no accounting emergencies, right?
And there are
But
no accounting
basically-
emergencies.
What we tell people, my catchphrase is, we got your back. That's all they need to know. Okay, if you want to know how, I'll get back to you. Okay, but with the payroll, again, this is another big issue. You're going to learn how to register, how to get insurance, or where to get it, paying the employees, because that's important. How you pay them and document everything is important. And then the taxes have to be paid and the forms have to be filed. Now, I know from one of our students in the Philippines that everything's still done by hand. And the taxes are paid. You got to go to we used to do it the same way. Now we usually use companies, okay, because there's so much compliance. Now, our system is operated by all of these lovely people, okay? There's a reason why they're all female. We've tried hiring a couple of guys, but for some reason they just can't take orders. They can't follow instructions. So right now we're not that we're what do you call it? We are looking for a few good men. So if they appear, we'll hire them. But right now, all of these women they follow our core values. Okay, that's what we go by. We don't even look really for people's experience. We look for their character. Are they teachable? Do they want to grow? And all of them have and are. Okay, so that's how we operate. You know, Elizabeth spoke to one of our new clients today, and he said, you know, my friend told me that you're going to take care of me, but I didn't know how much you were going to take care. He said, what did he say, Elizabeth? There's so many of you.
He knew that we had a back office, and that once he became a client, he would have the benefit of our back office, right? But he didn't understand how many people were actually in the back
It
office
seems like
and
a
would be
lot more than
taking-
we are.
and would be taking care of his different needs, right? And this is where you as students, you're also clients, you're students, you have the benefit of our back office. Just like
I'm part
somebody
of the
who's in,
Bedrock family.
there you go.
We're a
Because
family.
that is truly the the key part of the core values behind Bedrock is that it's family, friends, and fun. That is how our core values start. And it continues. There's a litany list of our additional core values. Those just happens to be my favorite because we do operate like family. We want to take care of each other. We want to take care of our clients. We want to take care of our students, and we want to take care of the business as a whole. It's important because that is how the system works. We're not just looking at numbers. I think sometimes accountants and bookkeepers forget that. We are oftentimes looking at people.
I feel like we're more of a community than an accounting firm. Okay, and so students get and clients get the benefit of our system, and we do have a system because that's how we're able to deliver our services for a very, very, very reasonable price. Okay, that's key. When I told you in the beginning, the opportunity is here because accountants are too expensive. Well, we made it so money is not an obstacle. We started only $57 a month. So when a small business owners in the United States spend more than that on coffee every month. Okay, so if I've had two people that said, I don't know if I could afford the $57. And my answer was, well, then you shouldn't be in business. If you can't afford, that's pocket change in the United States. That's $2 a day. And you want to make a living out of your bit and you can't afford professional guidance. It's simple. You really should not be in business. Your priorities are not in the right place. Again, communication is key with your clients, with your fellow students. You know, for about half the first batch, you know, people were, I can't say they were frustrated, that they were like pulling their hair out until I said, listen, I've been telling you to get a study buddy. And then all of a sudden the light went off. Okay, because there is power in collaboration. They were surprised. They were like, you know, all of us had the same question and none of us could come up with the answer until we all talked to each other. I don't know why it works like that. It just does. It's like all of a sudden you're like, the mind opens up and you're like, oh, I'm not the only one that had this stupid question. Well, guess what? It wasn't such a stupid question because, you know, 90% of the rest of the class has it. Okay. So we have a team meeting in about 10 minutes. So we're going to have to wrap this up in a few minutes. We do one-on-one meetings with our team members a lot. Team members, I don't even know what's going on anymore. People are having meetings about me. I think they're trying to they're trying to take over Bedrock. And I said, yeah, that's fine. Just tell me what to do. So let's go through the opportunity again. Okay. And so again, if anybody has questions, two things. You could visit us at our mastermind tomorrow. We have it I know it's not a great time for you. In the Philippines, it's 11:30 a.m. If you're
Eastern Standard Time until 1. So it is not the ideal time in the Philippines. However, we are available. And then this is where if you have additional questions, you can go Time with Joe or timewithelizabeth.com. But really, what we're offering right now is we're offering a 13-week course that goes through all of the different things that we talked to. It provides you with a certificate of completion to be a Bedrock business builder.
As long as we're going to ask you to sign a contract and commit. Unfortunately, not everybody in the first batch completed all the assignments for various reasons. We offered them a deal to take the second batch. So you might see some of students from the first batch taking the second batch. We're not going to do that again. We're going to hold you to the agreement. Okay, we weren't exactly clear. We're going to give you every opportunity to earn the certificate, but you do have to earn it. Okay, and all that means is you got to show up, ask questions, and do the project. it doesn't mean we're not even going to score the project. You don't even have to get any of the questions right. Okay, it's more based on
It's
effort.
beneficial to get the questions right. We do
We
look
want you
over
to
it
get
to
'em right,
make
but
sure.
no, I didn't even get them all right. So that I'm more
I didn't get them
concerned
all
with-
right either.
I'm more concerned with the desire to learn. Because I'm telling you, I haven't met somebody that I have not been able to teach accounting. You know, I taught my mother when she was 62. I needed an employee. Nobody wanted to work with me. I couldn't find anybody. And so I tricked mom into working for me. And she wound up helping run my business for 15 years. Okay, so this is intensive. We not only have a live class every week, I will meet with the whole class once a week, 9 p.m. your time on Wednesdays. There's no time limit. And like I said, well, I've had an open door policy. If somebody has questions, they come in, or what we're also going to do is we have a growing Facebook group. So I didn't talk too much about the 4-week course. Let me talk a little bit about what this is. In the class, in the 13-week class, we don't spend a lot of time on the software. We don't spend a lot of time on the tax program. Why? Because learning the tax program does not teach you our tax system. It doesn't teach you how to do an interview, how to get a job, how to land a client. That's my main objective, is to teach you how to talk to an American entrepreneur and get an offer. I could teach you the tax code up and down, and you're not going to get a job unless you know how to answer the question. Tell me about yourself. Because that's what they're all going to ask you, because they don't know what else to ask. I would rather spend the time teaching you that. And then if you have any technical questions, that's what the 4-week course is. So that's going to be Saturday evening at 10 p.m. your time. That's 4 weeks of deep dive into the taxes. There's 13 practice tests. You're going to get the software. You're going to get, if you're only going to do the 4-week course, you're going to get the same project as the 13-week course. So that's the difference. It's a deep dive into stuff that we can't really get into the nitty gritty in the 13-week course. 2 different objectives. Okay, there's more. So the 13-week program is normally $297. The early bird discount is $197. Now that was supposed to end the 29th, but I'm pretty sure Janine asked me if we could extend it to like August 3rd. Is that right, Elizabeth? I think so. So if you sign up and you pay in full, it's $197.
That is correct, Joe. And here's the sign up link for everybody. So this is where it like talks about the certification course on the sign up link. And then if you reserve now, or you'll see the checkout page, and the checkout page brings you to where you'll get the $197 special discount. That $197, it doesn't include the 4-week too, like, so it's $197.
Well,
it's a 13-week and 4.
It's a bundle. It's a bundle. So you can get both of them for $254. And you
There
actually
we go.
saving $140. It's a pretty good deal. Okay.
Mm.
And like I said, we over deliver. We definitely over deliver. If you have any questions, you can ask. All you got to do is go, if you're in Marianne's Facebook group, a lot of her tribe were in the first batch. Can you put the link to the Facebook group in there, Elizabeth?
Our Facebook group? Yeah, I can put the link to that.
The entrepreneur, the tax prepare entrepreneur group. So a bunch of students are in there. We have testimonials, and and I'll tell you right now, if you join and you're not happy, I'll give you your money back. We don't put that, but if anybody joined, I don't want anybody saying, oh, I joined that, I paid all this money and it was terrible. You could still say that, but I'll just give you your money back. But then don't ever contact me again.
And what we're looking to do at the
We
end
won't
of
be friends
this
anymore.
is we want to be friends. Okay. We want to
Yes.
make it so
I don't think that won't happen. I'll make sure it doesn't happen. But you know something, Elizabeth, not everybody clicks. There's nothing, and it might
I know,
happen.
but that's
So-
not the way to end the note of this class. I
No,
think the
no,
way
there
to
is
end
an extra bonus. There is an extra bonus. So let's end with this. And when we meet one-on-one, because I've just been doing it the last 2 weeks, I tell everybody, how can we help you? That it might be the end of the course, but it's not the end of our relationship. Okay, we're gonna have more courses. We have another division where we're actively connecting with accountants. Why? Because I said, well, we have all these students, where are we gonna send them? And then it dawned on me, I said, well, all these other accountants have the same problem I had. I couldn't find good help. So it's a win-win-win. You know, you can get clients, you could hook up with an accountant that's looking for a virtual bookkeeper or a tax preparer. And I got to tell you, I've looked for bookkeepers, accountants for decades. If one of them came to me and said, I know how to do taxes, I would have said, who sent you? Was it God? How did you find me? I never even thought of looking for somebody that knew taxes. So this is like, we're ahead of the curve here, just so you know. So we're going to work with you. If you tell us, oh, I want to get freelancing jobs, we're going to tell you, okay, let's look at your LinkedIn profile. Let's look at your resume. We'll give you some pointers. And like Elizabeth said, we have more templates and tools than I even realized.
One
So
of the things
many
I
that
love
lose
working
them.
yeah.
I've lost them.
One of the things I love about working with Joe is that I can go into his Google Drive and I can just see a treasure trove of information of things that he has available, right? The reason why I started working with Joe is because I said, Joe, during this pandemic, if someone has no money and their business is closed, how can we get them money? And he gave me a paper that taught me how to make it so other business owners would make money. I took that little dissertation that he gave me and I applied it to other individuals. A fair amount of the individuals that I applied to it were people in our circle who then all of a sudden they had no money, they had a lot of money. All right, because they either did SBA loans or they figured out how to do the unemployment that they needed to.
How many people did we tell to go for unemployment that didn't know that they could qualify?
Oh, at least over
I
100,
should
Joe.
have told them I should have charged for that.
Yeah,
But-
perhaps, but we didn't at the time. And then this is where learning is beneficial. Taking action on it is even more beneficial. All right. There's no librarians taking over the world. Do they know everything in the books that are around them? Probably, but they don't take action.
I think you just put an idea. I think accountants and bookkeepers can take over the world. Think of how much better the
Perhaps.
world would be if we were in control.
It was accountants and bookkeepers and financial people who created corporations in the United States that made it so we're one of the biggest economies, but that is neither here nor there. In fact, it is 8:59. I want to implore everybody, if you are interested in this course, connect with Corrine at bedrockbusinessbuilders.com. Ask her if you have any questions about the payment scale or what you got to do. Put down the $20 deposit to sign up for the class. We want to help you. That's the goal, is to help you. We want to make it so it's easy to get jobs. We want to make it so we can affiliate together. You can become an affiliate with Bedrock Business Builders and not take the course. If you want to all of a sudden just sell our services to everybody and get a percentage off of what you're selling, you can do that too. However, the knowledge is power, and we have a lot of knowledge that we want to share. If we didn't leave time for questions in this meeting, does anybody have any quick questions? Because it's now 9 o'clock and we have a team meeting we got to go to. No questions, Anna? You're good. I liked your face I like that you kept your camera on. You were with us. You were going with us and paying attention. I appreciate that. I'll have you know that within this semester, there are a fair amount of people who have already signed up, so it'll be easy to create study buddies. It'll be easy to make it so you can have a work group. It's not necessarily the people within this group that you're seeing right now, but there's others. And the people who took the class previously, it's not just the people who took the class previously and didn't finish all their stuff on time, all right? It is also people who took the class previously and then they did get the certification, they did get the certificate. Well, don't you know that it made it so they then got access to the 4-week course? Don't you know it also made it so they got access to go into the second semester? So you will have seasoned students in there that will also have a little bit more know-how than you do, and you can partner with them as well. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, Joe. I stole your line. You could probably
Yes.
say mine and say, if you have any questions.
I'll
Come
get
on,
back to
Joe.
you.
There we go. Done, done. What is
Okay, so
the,
somebody had a question about the difference. Okay. Totally different tax systems. Who's that? Rezio. I'm sorry if I messed up. Yeah, Rezio. Two different tax systems. Like I said, the federal covers all 50 states. And the states, so like there's 7 states that have no income tax. But that's what we're gonna definitely do a deep dive in the 4-week course and the 13-week course. Also, Marilyn is in the room. Thank you, Marilyn. She was our teacher's assistant for the first batch. You should connect with her if you have any questions. Sorry to put you on the spot, Marilyn, but you were good. Okay, I was really impressed with you.
Yeah, no
She had-
problem.
she put together one of the gangs. So that was fun. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if we have any gentlemen in the room, but this was fun. And I hope to see you all in the class. All right.